Yeah, you're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, and I'm bringing to you the Money Mike's Morning Show. Good morning, good people. We're often imitated, but we're never duplicated. We do what you want us to do, and you do what you want to do, and all we try to do is see if we can bring it together and get better and better and go higher and higher. So we're going to kick it in. You know, I got a couple questions for everybody today. And as I bring the questions forward, let's discuss them and see what it is. How bad a shape is America really in? We call it the land of the brave and the home of the free. Is it really? The NBA once was a monumental game of great players. And judging by the All-Star response, is it still a great game? Or is the game a global game where the players here don't matter? And of course, the U.S. economy, as we talk about it and lift it up each and every day, and you hear it on the news, the U.S. economy is soaring. Or is it really? Or is the U.S. economy soaring on credit? These and all things, we're going to try to break it down as we move forward here today on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. And we're going to bring it to you. We got something that's kicking in. Mr. Brian Chesley, he's the producer. Coming to you for Sound Click. Money Mike said, why don't we just ride on in with the smooth jazz? So let's talk about it and we'll figure it out, because at the end of the day, there's only one way, okay, and that's following the kingdom principles. But what's going on today in the world of business? Obviously, the market's still down. And folks, the market is down. You've got the S&P is going to be down 28, almost 0.5%. The Dow's trailing, going to be down about 42. It's not very much. Monumental. And then you got the NASDAQ down about 1%. The Russell 2000, it's down almost about 1.5%. And then the crude oil's coming down, and always watch the crude oil, because the crude oil is going to tell you where the gas price is going to be. Now, understanding just because the crude oil barrel drops, and when I say the crude oil, we're talking about the price per barrel. When the price of the oil drops, doesn't necessarily mean that Valvo or Arco or any of them are going to move the pump. They've already bought that fuel previously. So they're going to try to keep the price in there as high as they can before they reduce it. Beware of that. Money Mike always tries to point that out, because when the barrel drops, the price of the gas will drop too. All right, but I'm going to break it down, and I'm going to ask you something here. Is America really the land of the free and the home of the brave? Okay, because, you know, and I'm trying to understand, is it not free, but you got to be brave to be here? And here's what I mean. You've got America is facing a crisis. And when it's facing a crisis each and every day, corporate America, their crisis is dealing with the treasury bonds. And folks, let's not get it confused. The treasury bonds are used to sell off as a form of debt. Now, if the carrier of the debt, which is China or Russia or India, whoever's carrying the debt, if they decide they don't want to carry the debt no more and sell it off, okay, pretty soon that margin's going to need to get covered. Now, here's what happens when all the pressure that's going on with the banks. Okay, and this is where the market is. This is the month that we're going to hit the fire trail as we go into the election. But here's what you got. As the pressure goes on, those bonds, and they're dumping them off. And China's been dumping them off. This is a strategic play. Well, guess what? That shifts the burden from them borrowing the money, okay, from another country. It shifts the burden back to the American people. And so what do the American people see? Higher interest rate. Why are you seeing higher interest rate? Because we got to cover the debt. So when you get Powell, who's the chairman, who's sitting there, it's coming out each and every week and telling you what's going on. I mean, he's just charging the American people back the money. And folks, in America, when I say is it the land of the free and the home of the brave, okay, when you give somebody a stimulus check in America, and you give them that stimulus check and you have it where it gets all excited and they feel they're free, okay, but the fact of the matter, they didn't tell you the food prices were going to double. They didn't tell you the gas prices were going to double. They didn't tell you any of these things, so now you're facing a crisis. And, you know, I look at the market today, as I told you, Home Depot's down, okay, the housing crisis is coming, and this is a game of high-stakes musical chairs, is what you got in America. This thing here is really going to change. Walmart, Major acquisition today. Walmart's going to buy Vizio for $2.3 billion. And remember Walmart, the owner of the NFL Denver Broncos, and also involved in the situation with the Snoop cereal and the lawsuit of Ben Crump. And to me, that could end up going one way or the other way. But if it goes the wrong way, it's going to cost Walmart Post a lot of money. But let's keep it where we're consistent. So you got this situation where Walmart's going to buy it. And folks, if you want to know how CEOs get paid, they get paid off acquisitions. Okay, it takes a whole lot to get in there and close the deal. And why is Walmart doing this? Well, Walmart is trying to chip away at Amazon. And that's a hard chip to go get, folks, because when Amazon and Tesla, those are two of the companies that have got such a head start, you're doomed just trying to chase them. You're chasing your tail to get there, but that's what Walmart's going to do. Now, here's the deal. Walmart spends about 1.3, maybe $2 billion a year in advertising on CTV. And here's what's going to happen now. They want to jump in there and they want to challenge. So they said, hey, well, instead of us paying for that, why don't we just go buy the whole company, buy the corporation? Because they're going to challenge Amazon. Now, they spend about $2 billion a year. Amazon spends about $50 billion a year in ads. Okay, so the ads are out there, the retail. And what is this play going to be all about? This is the AI play. And folks, if you don't know about AI, it's coming. It's on the way. AI is going to replace a lot of labor positions, and in fact, because of the efficiencies, each and every time I walk into Walmart, I can sit there and see they have an efficiency issue. And if you have an efficient issue, that means you got a labor problem. And if you've got a labor problem, that means that you can't hire employees. So a lot of times now you walk into Walmart and the person's just as lost as the person asking the question. However, if you take that to automation and you advertise it, guess what? We can do a whole lot of money without having people come into the brick and mortar, as I call it, the store. And that's where it's going. Okay, so Walmart's making its play. They're going to go ahead and buy Vizio. That situation's going to come together. And what did they do? You know, you got Vizio trading somewhere around $7 a share. It kicks up to $10 a share based upon the acquisition. So the shareholders are happy. And Money Mike will always tell you, the CEO, each and every one of them, you know, they have a duty and responsibility to shareholders. That's why when Stephen A. mentioned he had a relationship with Robert Iger, no, you don't. Robert Iger has a relationship with the shareholders, and that's his duty and responsibility. So when you take a look at that, now we've got moving on. The next thing I've spotted out is Ford in the EV space. You're talking about the electronic vehicle space. Ford has threw his hands up and said, we are basically willing to work together on the battery. Now, I have to tell you, folks, Money Mike, that tickled me a little bit, because if you're willing to work with them on the battery, meaning you don't have the resources of the battery figured out, and we're willing to share the profit. Okay, so, and that's why China's doing what they're doing. And this whole thing of the musical chairs and everything's going on with the home of the brave and the land of the free and the stimulus check, and you got the president election coming up. Folks, here's what's really going down. I mean, we're battling over resources. And the battery is the key. They know it. A lot of times you'll see this can get you into war. I mean, it's what we're fighting over now is resources for the battery to move forward into technology. So, and I say that to tell you, in America, we often come out and paint a picture of what something is supposed to be, but it's not really that at all. And so when you look at the transition of moving into AI, and that's going to cut a lot of jobs. I'm telling you, it's going to move us. They talked about removing the middle class. This is removing the middle class, AI, because AI is going to do the middle class job. You can see they're laying it out. McDonald's, Burger King, whoever's left standing. Because some of them are going to be closed up. And when they are closed up, you got to know this for a fact, that the situation is not going to get any worse. They call it gentrification is what they call it. As I look at Oakland, and I look at, is America really, how bad a shape we're in? We're closing every corporate store in Oakland, California. And I look at that, and I look at that over the years of San Francisco and gentrification and how they move you out. See, here's what they do. They move you out. So they take all the corporates out. They're going to move all of you out of Oakland. It's too much crime, too much everything. They're going to leave it dissolved. Now, when everybody leaves, guess what the play is? They're going to come back in and buy every piece of property in Oakland, California. And because Oakland, California, if you grew up in the Bay, you know they got the sunshine. Okay, so instead of corporate America, and this is what I don't understand here on the Money Mike's Morning Show, is why doesn't Walmart, Target, Walgreens, CVS, instead of taking the money that you pull out of the community and give it somewhere in an offering or give it somewhere in a program or institution that's not benefiting the community, why don't corporate America invest those billions right back into the community? Okay, and when I say that, why don't you remodel and rebuild and you give those people opportunities, build them businesses around there that they can go to work in? Okay, because corporate America, you got this funny game you play. This is the Money Mike's Morning Show, and we're talking business this morning. You got a funny game you play, corporate America. You always say you're giving back, but you're not giving back where the give back needs to go. And that's the issue. And Tupac said it the best. He said, we're going to come to you and we're going to ask you very nicely. This is Tupac, and the late, great, this is a poet, he's a prophet. He said, we're going to come to you, we're going to ask you very nicely. Then after that, we're going to yell, okay? And we're going to yell loudly. And then after that, we're not going to ask, we're not going to yell, we're just going to start taking things. So no one listened to Tupac when he broke it down, but he did. And he told us exactly how this was going to play out. You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. And we always say all things are possible to those who believe. And we're kicking it off because I'm still on this. How bad a shape is America really in? We call it the land of the brave and the home of the free. And, it isn't really. We're getting pressured. We're getting taxed. Okay? And you know what? I look back, and we always look back at our grandparents and our forefathers and everything. And I'm talking about the coaches in the community in America. Because we actually came over and we migrated. We weren't chosen. We were given the job, but we actually went through it. We prospered. We educated ourselves. And now we're at the stage, are we able to get into America and facilitate it? And are they going to give us the rules of the game? Because if you don't give us the rules of the game and you don't let us play, and what I mean by let us play, obviously, in the government, you're handing out contracts to everybody, okay? And like I said, the minorities in America, from the Latino to the African Americans to the Asian, we are some of the best product builders, remodelers. You name it, we can do it. But are we getting the government contracts? That's what I want to know for Donald Trump. I don't have a problem with Trump, okay? Because I've already dealt with it, so it doesn't really shock me, and I don't have time to be distracted by it. What does that mean? I always told you once time before, I always went through Richard Nixon. Then I went through Lyndon B. Johnson. Okay, then you go through Reaganomics. And if you ain't never been through nothing, you think Trump is something, man, you better go on and deal with Reaganomics. Okay, and then after that, you're going to deal with George W. Bush. Okay, and then after that, you're going to deal with George Bush's son. Okay, so this game don't change. Money Mike always tell you I'm willing to play the game however you put it out, but don't change the rules. And I need to know the rules, and let me tell you why. Trump, I need to know the rules, and Biden, I need to know the rules. Because here is the day, if you're going to be successful and pivot correctly in business, in corporate enterprise business, you got to work from the end game. We got to project the target, and we got to work backwards to reach the target. But if we don't know the rules, then we got to change that. And what do I mean by the rules? For the life of me, folks, I'm going to say some things in the business as we kick this off. But this is the Money Mike Morning Show. And we cover a lot of NFL, NBA, but today we're talking business. For the life of me, whichever president gets in there, and I deal with the HBCUs, somebody tell me why the HBCUs, University of Historical Black Colleges, do not have their own bank. Now, somebody can tell me why the universities of historical black colleges don't have their own bank. And here we're talking about it because how bad a shape is America really in? We call it the land of the brave and the home of the free. Now, Money Mike is asking this question because I want to know if we've got all the students, we've got all the employees, we got all the family members. And folks, there was a movie that came out on Amazon. This is why I always tell you, corporate America always surprises me. There was a movie came out called The Banker. And, so they're talking about the capital gains and the capital rents. And, you're looking at this from 4 or 5 different ways. And if they would have taught us anything, I'll tell you today, if they want to teach anything or put a degree in, okay, and HBCs, you want to put a degree in, you move that degree from business and you move that degree to entrepreneurship degree, okay? Because that's what we need. We need an entrepreneurship degree. What is that? That's real life practices doing business, okay? We're going to take you to the local businesses. We're going to show you how they set up the opportunities. We're going to show you how they generate revenue, okay? Because that entrepreneurship degree is what you need. Because here's what happened in America, and I'll tell you. I've lived long enough to see it, and I'm going to break it down to you. Here's what I know. When we first came up, they taught us how to add and subtract, okay? Then they came along, they said, we're going to teach you how to do a little division. And then they came along, they said, after you do the division, we're going to teach you the percentage. Now, somewhere along the line in America, we eliminated the entrepreneurship part of how to run a business and how to count money. And I don't know how they got that done. Boy, they can do a lot of things, but man, they got that one done. So here's what they do. They said, well, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get you where you're going to be engineers. Well, that's cool. We're going to be engineers, but we don't know how to count. So when you get to the geometry and you get to the trigonometry, all of that, none of that has anything to do with running a business. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. And I'm breaking it down this morning because I just want to know, how do we get that out of the schools? Okay, if that out of the schools, and now we're teaching them mathematics that have no application to business. So when I walk into the store and I say, hey, it's $1.07, I give somebody $1.09, I'm supposed to get $1.03 back. I mean, the whole building stops. Nobody knows how to do it. How in the world did we get America to this stage? You're listening to the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast, and we're asking you, is America the land of the free and the home of the brave? Because I see a whole lot of people that are in bondage and they're not free. So we got to dig deeper, and with that HBCU and the old bank and the banker and this and that, I'm telling you, to me, it don't matter if it's Biden or Trump. I'm going to rock and roll with either one of you. All I want to know from each party is what are the rules. Because I know what's going down, okay, on the Trump side. They want to roll with AI. They want to deregulate everything, and they want to open it up. Well, you know what happens with that? Man, that costs people money, okay? So in the game, if you're going to open it up, and you're going to let it be deregulated, I'll tell you what, there's a whole lot of Hispanics, Asians, African Americans that have businesses out there. We want to be part of the open up. Okay, this is Money Mike saying if you're going to get in there in corporate enterprise business and you're going to go in there to operate and run a business, folks, let me just tell you how it works. You're going to have a product.